sickness is not ordinary.
Her voice calm but sharp. It is coming from the maid. Justina froze. Anderson felt his heart stop. 10 specialists had touched that child. 10 experts had checked his blood, his brain, his heart. None of them had looked at the maid, but this barefoot girl, thin, poor, and barely 18, did not even look at the baby first. She looked at Lydia. The woman who feeds him, Zara continued slowly, is the one draining him. Gasps filled the room. Lydia stood still, her face blank, her tray shaking slightly in her hands. That is a lie, Justina whispered. She has been with us for years. Zara did not argue. She did not shout. She comes at night, Zara said softly, when the lights are off, when prayers grow weak, and at that exact moment, baby Emmanuel screamed, not a normal cry, a sharp, painful scream that cut through the room like a blade. His small body arched. His fever rose so fast that the monitor began to beep loudly. Doctors rushed forward. Machines were adjusted. Nothing changed. Zara stepped back, her eyes fixed on Lydia. She is not human, Zara said. The words fell heavy. The maid, Zara continued, is a snake. Lydia's tray slipped from her hands and crashed to the floor, and before anyone could speak again, the lights flickered. That was when Anderson knew whatever was killing his son was already inside his house. The lights came back on, but something had already changed. Lydia stood very still near the door, her face calm again, too calm. The spilled tray lay on the floor, cups rolling slowly until they stopped. No one moved to pick them up. Baby Emmanuel cried again, weaker this time, like the sound was being pulled out of him. Justina rushed to the crib. My baby, please, please. One of the doctors checked the monitor and shook his head. The fever is rising again. Anderson felt anger burn in his chest. He turned to Zara. You said the problem is the maid, he said. Explain, now. Zara did not raise her voice. She did not look proud or scared. She simply said, Sir, sickness that refuses medicine is not normal. I smelled fear, heat, and something old in this room. Not from the child, from a person. Lydia laughed suddenly. It was soft, almost polite. Sir, she is just a homeless girl, she said. She does not know what she is saying. Zara looked at her. For the first time, her calm broke. Do not speak to me, Zara said. You are not wearing your real skin. The room exploded into noise. What nonsense is this? One doctor shouted. This is dangerous talk, another said. Jacob stepped closer to Anderson. Sir, should we escort the girl out? Justina grabbed Anderson's arm. No, she cried. Please, let her talk. Anderson raised his hand. The room fell quiet again. Zara, he said slowly, if you are lying, you will leave this house tonight. But if you are right, Zara nodded. Then your child will live. Lydia's eyes flashed for a second. Just a second, but Zara saw it. She feeds on warmth, Zara continued. On weak breath, on fear. That is why the child worsens at night. Justina felt cold crawl up her arms. Lydia, is that true? Lydia shook her head quickly. Madam, I have served you with my life. I carried this baby when he was born. Yes, Zara said. That is how she entered. Silence. Anderson's voice came out low. What do you want us to do? Zara turned to him. We watch, Zara said. Tonight. The doctors argued, but Anderson dismissed them. Go home, he said. All of you. They stared at him like he had lost his mind. Sir, this is medical negligence, Dr. Nelson warned. My son is dying under your care. Anderson replied. You may leave. One by one, they went. The house became quiet again. Too quiet. Lydia continued working like nothing had happened. She cleaned the nursery. She brought food. She even helped Justina lie down near the crib. Justina watched her every move, her heart racing. Was Zara wrong? Was fear making them see things? Anderson followed Zara into a small guest room. You said you were raised by your grandmother, he said. Zara nodded. She was a healer. People laughed at her until they were desperate. Why did she teach you? Anderson asked. Zara looked down. Because she said I would need it to survive. Anderson swallowed. If you are wrong, this will destroy my family. Zara looked him in the eyes. If I am right, sir, your family is already in danger. Night came. The mansion lights dimmed. Anderson pretended to leave the house. His car drove out. The gate closed, but he returned through a hidden entrance and went straight to the security room with Jacob. Cameras were placed everywhere. Zara sat on the floor in the nursery, eyes closed, whispering words under her breath. Justina stayed beside Emmanuel, holding his tiny hand. Midnight passed. Nothing happened. Justina began to feel foolish. Then footsteps. Slow, soft. Lydia appeared at the door, carrying a small cloth. "I came to check on the baby," she said gently. Zara's eyes opened. The temperature dropped. The lights blinked once. Jacob whispered, "Sir." On the screen, Lydia stepped closer to the crib. Her shadow stretched longer than her body. Something moved under her skin again. Zara stood up. "She is here," she said quietly. "Do not move." Lydia bent over the crib. Baby Emmanuel let out a cry that sounded like it was being pulled from deep inside him. And on the camera, Lydia's neck bent in a way no human neck should bend. Justina screamed, and Zara shouted the first ancient word. As Lydia's shadow lifted off the floor and reached for the child, Zara's voice cut through the room like a sharp blade. "Do not scream," she commanded. "Fear gives her strength." Justina clamped her hand over her mouth, her whole body shaking. Tears ran down her face as she watched the screen. On the camera, Lydia's body jerked. Her shoulders rolled forward unnaturally. Her back bent, slowly, painfully, as if her bones were soft. Jacob stumbled back. "Sir, that is not possible." Anderson could not speak. His eyes were fixed on the screen. His heart was pounding so hard it hurt. Lydia's face turned toward the camera. Her eyes were no longer white. They glowed faintly green. Zara stepped closer to the crib, placing herself between the baby and the thing pretending to be a maid. "She knows you see her now," Zara said calmly. "She will try to finish quickly." On the screen, Lydia's mouth opened wider than before. Her jaw stretched down, far too long. Her tongue flicked out, thin and dark. Justina collapsed to her knees. "My child, please." Baby Emmanuel's cries grew weaker. His small chest struggled to rise. The monitor began to beep faster. Anderson slammed his hand on the table. "Do something," he shouted. Zara nodded once. "Hold him steady," she said to Justina. "Do not let her touch him." "How?" Justina cried. "She is right there." Zara reached into the small cloth bag she carried. She pulled out dried leaves tied with thread. She crushed them in her palm and began to whisper again. The words were low and steady, like a song without music. On the screen, Lydia hissed, a long, sharp sound that was not human. Her skin rippled, then it split. Scales pushed through like dark glass. Jacob screamed and turned away, but Anderson forced himself to keep watching, because the thing on the screen was no longer Lydia. A long, thick body slid out of the maid's clothes. The skin fell to the floor like an empty dress. A massive snake lay where the woman had stood. Its eyes glowed green. Its head lifted slowly, swaying toward the crib. Justina fainted. Anderson rushed forward and caught her before she hit the floor. "Zara," he cried, "my wife." "Leave her," Zara said firmly. "The baby first." The snake moved closer. Its body coiled beside the crib. The air felt heavy, thick, like it was hard to breathe. Zara stood her ground. "You were warned," she said loudly now. "This child is protected." The snake hissed again, louder this time. It lifted its head higher, towering over the crib. The lights flickered violently. The camera shook. Then the snake struck. Not at Zara, not at the baby. At the wall, glass shattered as the creature smashed through the window and disappeared into the night. The room fell silent. Only the sound of the monitor remained. Beep, beep, beep. Zara rushed to the crib and lifted Emmanuel gently. "Move him," she said. "Now." Anderson carried his wife to the chair and turned back, his hands trembling. "Is it gone?" Zara shook her head slowly. "It has fled," she said. "Not left." She looked around the room, her face serious. "This house is still marked." Baby Emmanuel whimpered softly in her arms. His fever had not dropped. Zara turned to Anderson, her eyes heavy with warning. "This was only the first battle," she said, "and now that it has been exposed, it will come back angry." She looked down at the baby, and next time, it may not wait for night. Zara did not waste time. She carried baby Emmanuel out of the nursery and into the small guest room across the hall. She placed him gently on the bed and pulled the curtains halfway. Not fully closed, light weakens what followed him, she said. Anderson stood frozen for a moment, his mind struggling to accept what his eyes had seen. Then he forced himself to move. "Jacob," he said sharply, "lock every gate. Nobody enters. Nobody leaves." Jacob nodded, pale and shaking, and spoke quickly into his radio. Justina slowly opened her eyes. "My baby," she whispered. "Where is my baby?" "He is here," Zara said gently, "and he is still breathing." "Elo," Justina rushed to the bed and touched Emmanuel's face. He was still hot, but his shaking had reduced. For the first time in days, his crying slowed, not stopped, but slowed. Anderson fell into a chair, covering his face with both hands. A billionaire who had faced business wars and court battles now felt smaller than he ever had in his life. "I did not believe you," he said quietly to Zara. "I almost chased you away." Zara looked at him. "Belief is not what saved him tonight," she replied. "Listening did." Justina looked up. "Is my child safe now?" Zara hesitated. That hesitation broke Anderson more than any bad news. "He is not in immediate danger," Zara said carefully. "But the sickness is not finished." She reached into her bag again and brought out a small wooden bowl. Inside were crushed leaves mixed with oil. She rubbed a little on Emmanuel's chest and feet, moving her hands in slow circles. "The poison she left behind is still inside the house," Zara said. "And some of it is still inside him." Anderson's head snapped up. "Inside my house?" Zara nodded. "Evil that feeds does not come alone. It settles. It hides. It watches." Justina hugged Emmanuel closer. "Then what do we do?" Zara looked around the room, then at the door, then at the ceiling. "We cleanse," she said. "But first, we must be sure she is truly gone." As if answering her words, a loud thud echoed from somewhere deep inside the mansion. Everyone jumped. Jacob's voice came through the radio, tight with fear. "Sir, something just triggered the motion sensor near the old storage wing." Anderson stood up fast. "That wing has been locked for years." Zara's eyes hardened. "That is where she will hide," she said. "Places people forget are safest for things that do not want to be seen." Justina's voice trembled. "You said she fled." "Yes," Zara replied. "But fleeing does not always mean leaving." Another sound came soft, dragging, slow, not footsteps, something heavier, something sliding. The security screen flickered back on by itself. For a moment, it showed an empty corridor. Then the camera shifted, and there, near the dark corner of the storage wing, something long and coiled moved slowly out of the shadows. Its green eyes lifted, and it looked straight into the camera. Zara whispered, her voice firm but urgent. "She knows where the child is now." Anderson felt his heart drop, because the screen suddenly went black. The screen stayed black. For 3 long seconds, nobody spoke. Then the power came back. The corridor camera showed nothing. No movement, no shadow, no glowing eyes. Jacob swallowed hard. "Sir, whatever it was, it's gone from the camera." Anderson turned to Zara. "Tell me what to do," he said. There was no pride left in his voice, only fear. "Tell me how to end this." Zara nodded once. "We end it by cutting the bond," she said. "She came into this house through trust. We must remove everything she used to stay." She turned to Jacob. "Bring me her things. Every single thing. Clothes, shoes, hairpins, anything she touched." Often, Jacob did not ask questions. He ran. Zara then turned to Justina. "Madam, you must be strong now. Fear will only invite her back." Justina wiped her tears and nodded. "I will do anything." Zara asked for a bowl of clean water, salt, and fire. Not candles, fire. Within minutes, the items were brought. Zara placed the bowl on the floor and poured the salt into the water. She dipped her fingers in and marked small signs on the floor, simple lines, nothing dramatic. "This is not magic," she said calmly, seeing Anderson's confused face. "It is protection." Then Jacob returned, breathing hard. He dropped a bag on the floor. "These are all the maid's belongings," he said. Her room is empty. Zara opened the bag. Inside were normal things, clothes, slippers, a scarf. Then Zara froze. She slowly pulled out a small black pouch. The air changed again. Zara did not touch it with her bare hand. She anchored herself here. Zara said quietly, "This is why she could come back." "Every night." Anderson's voice was low. "Destroy it." Zara nodded. Outside. They moved to the back of the compound, far from the house. Zara placed the pouch and the maid's belongings into a metal bowl. She poured oil on them. "Once this burns," Zara said, "she will never cross this gate again." Justina clutched Emmanuel to her chest. Anderson struck the match. The fire rose fast. The flames twisted strangely for a moment, then settled. A sharp hiss came from the fire. Then silence. Zara watched closely until everything turned to ash. "It is done," she said. They waited. Nothing happened. No shadows, no movement, no strange cold. Inside the house, Emmanuel's monitor beeped more slowly. Justina rushed inside and gasped. "The fever," she said. "It's dropping." Zara followed her in and placed her hand gently on the baby's head. "He is free now," Zara said. "His body can fight again." By morning, Emmanuel slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. He did not shake. He did not cry. He breathed deeply, like a child who felt safe. Doctors were called back later that day. They checked him again. "The fever has reduced," one said in disbelief. "His body is responding now." No one explained how. Anderson did not care. The maid, Lydia, was never seen again. Her phone was switched off. Her family could not be found. Her room remained empty. It was as if she had never existed, but Anderson knew the truth. And as he stood by his son's crib, watching Emmanuel sleep, he looked at Zara and said quietly, "Stay." Zara did not answer Anderson immediately. She stood quietly by the crib, watching baby Emmanuel sleep. His chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. His skin, which had burned like fire for weeks, now felt warm in a normal way. Peace had returned to the room, slowly and gently, like morning light. Justina sat beside the bed, afraid to blink. "He is sleeping," she whispered. "He has not slept like this since he fell sick." Zara nodded. "Because nothing is pulling at him anymore." Anderson exhaled deeply, like a man who had been holding his breath for weeks without knowing it. That morning, the house felt different. The staff walked freely again. The silence that had carried fear now carried relief. Food was cooked. Curtains were opened. Sunlight filled the rooms. Doctors came later in the day, confused but amazed. "The fever is almost gone," one said. "His blood levels are stabilizing." Another added, "We don't understand what changed." Anderson simply said, "He was finally allowed to heal." No one argued. By evening, Emmanuel opened his eyes and smiled weakly at his mother. Justina broke down completely, holding him and crying tears that were no longer made of fear. That night, Zara was given a proper room, clean clothes, warm food, but she slept on the floor beside the bed, just in case. Nothing came, no shadows, no cold air, no strange sounds. Days passed. Emmanuel grew stronger each day. He drank milk. He laughed again. He kicked his legs and grabbed fingers like before. The mansion returned to life. Anderson returned to work, but he was no longer the same man. He came home early. He sat with his son. He listened more. Justina smiled again. She slept again. She ate again. And the maid? She was never seen again. No goodbye, no trace, no explanation. It was as if she had been wiped from the world the moment her hold was broken. People asked questions. Anderson gave no details, only this: she left. Zara stayed. At first as a guest, then as family, and in that house in Lagos, where money had failed and fear had ruled, something new took its place: peace. But Zara knew one thing: not every danger announces itself, and not every story ends where people think it should. Because some truths, once revealed, do not simply disappear. They wait, and this one had only just been uncovered. Anderson shut down arrogance in his heart forever. He learned that evil can hide in uniforms, and truth can live in rags. Sometimes the answer does not come from doctors. Sometimes it comes from a person you would never imagine. Indeed, ancient wisdom saved modern medicine, and now one of the richest men learned that the greatest treasures in life cannot be bought. Rather, they are discovered with a free heart and mind. and not everyone is to be brought into a home as a help. Rather, they may be the hidden such of problems. If you loved this story, kindly subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that like button, and in the comments, tell us, what lesson did you learn from this story? Turn on notifications so you never miss our stories. Share this video with your friends and family. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next interesting story, bestie.